What does our brain do when we go to sleep? Our brain occupies the space behind our eyes and between our ears, which is roughly the size of a large pink walnut. Our brain functions as a living computer in our heads, with millions of tiny wire-like cells known as neurons. These neurons work alongside to enable us to think, feel, move our bodies, and remember. Our brain is responsible for everything that makes us who we are. Even though it is called an organ, our brain functions in many ways like a muscle because it strengthens as we grow. The more we use it, the more strong it becomes. After a long day, our bodies require to rest and recover. Our body's day-to-day tasks include walking, running, playing with our friends, and learning. At nighttime, our body's work is to rest, recover, and recharge. Our brain has many different parts. Each part has a special job. Motor cortex. Our body is controlled by the motor cortex, a region of the brain that spans the middle of our skull from ear to ear. If we want to wave, the part of the brain sends a message to our hand to move. Occipital lobe. The occipital lobe is a part of our brain, located in the back of our heads. That section receives images from our eyes and interprets what we see. Amygdala. The amygdala is located in the center of our brain. Many of our emotions, such as fear, happiness, and sadness, are located here. If something frightens you, your amygdala is sending you a signal. Because the brain functions like a muscle, the more we use it to practice a new skill, the more excellent it will become. Learning causes the brain to strengthen. Every day, our brain puts in a lot of effort and craves challenges to help it learn as much as it can. By the time night falls, our body and mind are exhausted, and it is time to sleep and recharge. Even though our brains spend all day thinking, feeling, moving our body, learning, and remembering, its job is not done yet. Our brain cannot stop working completely at night, because it needs to keep our body functioning while we sleep. The medulla, a lower portion of our brain that is found in the brain stem, signals to our heart and lungs to slow down and relax. Because we won't be as active at night, we won't require as much energy and oxygen, letting our heart and lungs to slow down. Even though we are not aware of everything that is happening around us, our brain still responds to sights, sounds, and other senses. Loud noises such as that annoying alarm clock will wake us up, because our ears can still hear. Our parents gently touch our heads or shoulders to wake us up, because our skin still senses touch and motion. The smell of pancakes might wake us up, because our nose always knows. All of these things tell us that our brain is still working, even when we sleep. Even though it may take louder sounds, strong rousing, or spicier smells to catch our attention than when we are awake. When we are born, we have billions of neurons with many bushy branches called dendrites. The tips of these branches make contact with other neurons at points known as synapses, and this is how electrical impulses are transmitted to other neurons. Over time, these connections between neurons become closer and stronger. This is partly because numbers of synapses become pruned. Extra or unused synapses are sheared away, like trimming the branches of a tree while we sleep. Glial cells help to prune unnecessary synapses to strengthen important connections between neurons. This makes our brain work faster as we grow and develop. Well, unlike the trees in our yard that grow more branches over time, sleep helps our brain reduce its branches and strengthen the pathways used most often. Our brain gains control. The ability to plan and make decisions is an important part of what makes us human. planning our next move in a game, or deciding what to do. This happens in the prefrontal cortex, or PFC. This brain area grows quickly and will continue to be sculpted until you are in your 20s. Right now, the PFC is already playing an important role in assisting us in making decisions, following the rules, and thinking clearly about what we want to do in the future. Getting a good night's sleep improves the processing power of our PFC and helps we take control of ourselves. Our brain remember. Of everything we learnt while awake, our brains have to stamp in what we learned in order to remember it. When someone asks us where we went, what we have learned, or what we did yesterday, when we get up, we recall the details because they were stamped in while we were asleep, even though we are unaware that this is happening. This is called consolidation. It is just like pressing our hands into wet concrete. Once the concrete hardens, the handprints are there to stay. Things we have learned need to set overnight so we can remember what we learn for years to come. In many ways, we sleep to remember. A lot of information we learn requires our hippocampus, because the neurons here are especially good at storing information about people, places, and events we experience, because it is shaped like a seahorse's tail. The hippocampus was named after the Greek word for seahorse. Our brain forget. Well, let's be honest, we all have bad days. We are occasionally scared by something that occurs. Sometimes our emotions are hurt. These experiences are an important part of life, because they help us become resilient, especially if we get enough sleep. Did you know that sleep helps bad memories feel not so bad? We still remember those events, but the emotional part of the memory fades faster after a good night's sleep. However, if we do not get enough sleep, these strong feelings last much longer. As a result, we sleep to forget. Our brain energizes. Our brain is hungry all the time. It takes more blood flow than any other part of our body to deliver oxygen and glucose, two essential fuels for brain activity, to use those sugars as fuel. Our bodies need to reset every night while we sleep. If we sleep too little, we are likely to eat too much because our brain is not using sugar effectively. Sleep makes our brain and body burn its fuel more efficiently, so that we can run farther, learn faster, and be more resilient. Our brain sleeps best when our dinner has been digested, and our blood glucose has returned to normal levels. Sugary snacks and sweets right before bedtime can cause a surge in glucose that makes it harder to sleep consistently through the night. We need to take a bath or a shower to get clean, which helps keep us healthy by removing dirt and bacteria. Our brain is so busy during the day that it generates a lot of waste, which needs to be washed away at night. Cerebrospinal fluid (CSF) is the liquid that surrounds our brain in our heads. The purpose of CSF is to keep our soft brain from colliding with our skull's hard bone. The CSF's nighttime job is to clean our brain by flowing through it. Like a bath or shower, our nightly brain baths, which occur while we sleep, will be important for healthy brain aging. Our brain dream. We all dream, but scientists still know very little about why. Dreaming happens off and on throughout the night, with more dreams happening later in the night. Our brain is the most active during the most extensive stages of sleep, and our eyes wiggle back and forth quickly. This is why we call it the rapid eye movement stage of sleep. Why do our eyes wiggle? No one knows. During rapid eye movement sleep, our brain is so active, but the muscles in our arms, legs, fingers, and toes are unable to move. This is called REM paralysis, and it is really important for preventing us from acting out our dreams and hurting ourselves. Imagine if we were dreaming about dancing on stage. Without REM paralysis, we would be doing pirouettes in our bed, not just in our head. We all sleep differently. When we allow ourselves to follow a routine, we sleep better. This means that we sleep and wake up around the same time every day. Some people go to bed and wake up early. Others go to bed and sleep in late. But we all need sleep. What happens if we do not get enough sleep? We forget, because our brain did not have time to stamp in what we learned. We make bad decisions, because our prefrontal cortex is too tired to think and plan well. We become impulsive, because our prefrontal cortex has a hard time controlling what we want to do. We might get grouchy or emotional, because our amygdala, which controls emotions, becomes overactive. We feel more pain. Things that would normally cause a little pain may make that pain feel unbearable. We get very, very hungry, because our brain needs sleep to help use its sugar efficiently. Going to bed at a regular time and getting enough sleep are two ways we may maintain our brain growing, learning, and adaptable. A rested brain is a healthy brain, which helps our whole body be healthier. Train our brain. Going to bed at the same time every night is important. Why? We have this little part in the middle of our brain, called the pineal gland. It makes a chemical that makes us sleep, called melatonin. If we go to bed at the same time every night, the pineal gland learns what our bedtime is and will begin to produce melatonin to make it easier for us to fall asleep. So, we can train our brain when to sleep. We are our brain. Our brain controls everything we think, feel, and do. We can improve our brains by getting enough sleep. And now we know why. Everyone requires regular sleep, because our brain performs numerous critical tasks after we say goodnight. During our sleep, our brain grows and develops, gains control, remembers and forgets, energizes, takes a bath, dreams. We know that by trying new things, making mistakes, and learning from our mistakes, we can help our brains grow. But we have the ability to train and grow our brains even more, just by sleeping. Good night. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoy and learn something new. Please subscribe to my channel to support me. Have a nice day. Goodbye.